Talktainment Radio Worldwide Sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
All righty. Welcome, wherever you are, to the world's greatest radio, heard all across the nation and all around the world. The greatest station in the nation, and that is TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard. Yes, sir, the world's greatest radio. Thank you for listening. You're in touch with the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. I am the show co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is radio the way it should be heard. Oh, thank God, 2 more days, and it is the beginning of spring at 6:33 Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Man, oh man, we've had some good weather at this location. Hopefully, wherever you are listening, that you are also experiencing some spring. Ooh, man, oh man, oh man. Anyway, on the line with us, we have Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And Mr. Fuller, how are you this morning?
I'm still learning.
Yes, still learning. Listen, everybody, if you would like to get in contact with the show, and many of you have called even before we were on the air, and we do thank you, try to call near the top of the hour, but you can do that by calling 1-877-932-9766, and we will get you on as soon as we can. And if you'd like to Gmail me, you can at 7mrbobby@gmail.com, and I will vet your question and read it as it comes, as I can get it. Now, listen, some of the questions I may not be able to get to on this particular program. However, I do archive it, and I will get it when I can, or get to it when I can. We have many, many questions. Now, if you'd like to get the book, I'm going to have Mr. Fuller talk about the book. You can, the United Independent Compensatory Code Concept. It's a textbook, workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism, white supremacy. So now when people call in, now I got my copy with me. You know, when you reference a page or something as you will speak with Mr. Fuller, I can do that with you. And also, before I have Mr. Fuller talk about the book, when you call there and get the book from us, he's going to tell you producejustice.com. You can get it. And I'm going to tell you something. It is secure. They do a very good job. Mr. Fuller, your staff, they do a very good job in securing the book, where it's going to go to, and they will even give you a tracking number so that you can track when your book will get there. So it is very secure, and so you would like to do that. Now, put your money where your mouth is. Buy the book so you can go along with it. A lot of times we have opinions on things, but we do not, well, we as black people, I'm beginning to notice, don't really put our money where our mouth is. But if you're really serious about understanding the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept, you may want to get the book so you can go along with it and try to understand it as much as possible. Mr. Fuller, you care to talk about the book before we go into the calls and questions?
Well, you're pretty well covered. It's just a book that's directed to, I always like to specify that it's a book that's directed to individual persons.
Mm-hmm.
So that the individual person, when he or she is with him or herself, you can solve problems as you go along and every day, rather than wait, till you go to a meeting or go to your church or consult a person who is an advisor of some type or something like that. Nowadays, I think that all books, for the most part, even fictional books, should be written with it in mind that we're sending some type of message that has a constructive lesson in it, lessons that can be used by the individual person. I think if you build up individual persons, you can solve a lot of problems.
Yes.
You can solve the problems of the individual.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And again, we can get that book at producejustice.com. I'm asking, for the sake of those that don't listen.
Yes, you can get it to producejustice.com. And what will come up on the screen is a brief description of a basic textbook for victims of white supremacy. And there is an additional book called a Compensatory Counter-Racist Codified Word Guide. Now, that is similar to a dictionary. It's not a dictionary, but it's similar to a dictionary in that it just has some suggestions about how to use words, how not to use words, what questions to ask when other people use words, because words are tools of communication.
Yes.
That can resolve a lot of problems for people if they can all get on the same page when they're trying to solve problems. Mm-hmm. And sometimes something gets lost in translation when people are talking to each other.
Yes, sir. Okay, before we go to the phone lines, we have a question from John Adams, and he says this. He says, Mr. Fuller, what are some tips on staying mentally healthy as victims of racism?
Tips on staying mentally happy?
Healthy. As victims of racism.
Oh, well, just by being focused on problem solving. That's it. You have 9 areas of activity are listed in the book, and also the book is segmented in 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And that just about covers everything that people on this planet are engaged in, either one or the other, or a combination of all of them, or some of them, at any given time. These are just labels for people's activities.
Yes, sir.
And so if you just focus on how can I solve a problem in education, my education, see, here again, we're talking about individual persons. If you're seeking to better your condition as far as learning is concerned, that's why I always use the expression, I'm still learning. I opened this program on Talktainment by saying, when people ask me how am I say I'm still learning. That is a reminder to me,
yes, sir,
not to the people that I'm talking to. I have to remember that I am still in a learning stage, because we should always be in a learning stage when we're trying to solve problems, and the world is full of problems. That's what we're here for.
Okay.
That's how we stay focused, and that's how, in answer to the question, to stay focused on problem solving, because we've got plenty of problems to solve.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's go to the phone lines, and line number 1, you are on with Mr. Neely Fuller on the compensatory concept. What is your question for Mr. Fuller?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Fuller, I listened to you, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. I've listened to Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and all of you guys are tremendously intelligent to me. So who do you listen to, and who do you recommend that people like myself listen to for this very pertinent information that you give out?
Okay, thank you for your call. Mr. Fuller?
Well, I always tell people, listen to everybody who might be saying something where you can learn something about just what I just said, problem solving. Those 2 words, that's what it's all about. That's what the entire world should be about. Everybody walking up and down the street, everybody riding the subway, everybody who's doing some farming, everybody who's on the job, wiping off a counter and whatnot, should be thinking about how can I best solve whatever problem is right in front of me at this moment, and the other problems that are going to come throughout the day. You should wake up in the morning thinking about problem solving, and you listen to everybody and anybody who sounds like he or she may be in a problem solving mode. Many times problem solving comes from sources that you didn't expect to hear from. A person who you sometimes would say is a person that's not very serious about things may every now and then say something that is serious and say something that has something to do with solving a problem. I heard recently, I saw it on television, I heard it on yesterday's news, about someone who is running the coffee chain that is talking about putting it on cups, something about race being discussed in the coffee shops. And if that will help, I don't know if it'll work or not. Some people, a lot of pros and cons there, said that's not the best place to talk about solving the race problem and whatnot. Well, what is the best place to talk about solving the race problem? But when people ask me about what's the best way to talk about solving the race problem, I just simply say, you got 9 areas of activity, just start talking about any of those areas of activity where there is a problem, because it's going to lead to the race problem anyway.
Yes, sir. All righty.
Mr. Bobby.
Yes, sir.
Okay, my daughter had one quick question. Is she able to get on and ask a question?
Yeah, quickly, because we have so many calls. Go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Neely Fuller, can you define racism for me?
Wait a minute. Can he what now? Describe?
Define.
Oh, okay. Define. Oh, okay. All right. Yes, Mr. Fuller, can you define racism for this young lady? Thank you for your call.
Yes. According to logic, and this is strictly from my viewpoint, and everything that I say is just from my viewpoint, and I put it in the book addressing it, racism is white supremacy, and white supremacy is racism. There's no other form of racism anywhere on this planet, as far as I know, if you look at it from a logical viewpoint. You can't have two supremacies at once. If you got white supremacy, you can't have another supremacy. That's what the word supreme means. And racism is mistreating people based on color, dominating and mistreating people based on color. That's the broad description of racism, and I think the focus description of racism according to what? According to logic. And then when you look around and see what form of racism exists on this planet, it's in the form of white supremacy. So if you're white, you are eligible to dominate and mistreat people of color, and with impunity. Impunity means nobody can do anything about it. Nobody should even try to do anything about it. And that is the acceptable norm for all of the people on the planet. It became that way a long time ago. So it's dominating and mistreating people based on color. And when you look around and see who is doing this with efficiency and with impunity, impunity meaning nobody figured out a way to put a stop to it. Nobody even has even mounted a real effort to put a stop to it worldwide. I mean, everybody speaking in one voice. This is why it's still here. And replacing it with a better system called justice, so you still have it in place. And we call it racism and or white supremacy. When people try to say there's another form of racism, ask questions like what? Because you can't have two supremes at once.
Okay. Thank you for your call. You're listening to The Compensatory Concept on TalkTainmentRadio.com with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. I am the co-host, Mr. Bobby, and if you would like to get in contact with the show, you can by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can email me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com, and I will take your questions in order. Now, I have to say that I am not going to get to all of the questions today because there are many, but I will get to them in the order that they come into me. And speaking about that, I have a question from Marcia Marcia. She says, Mr. Fuller, in your book, you have stated that if a non-white person takes the life of a racist white supremacist, that it is correct for them to then take their own life, even in self-defense. Why is that? Is it because they would become subject to more racism?
No, that's misunderstood. I didn't say in self-defense. In direct self-defense, no. If someone jumps out from behind a tree and tries to kill you, and you kill them in defense of yourself, you don't take your own existence out of this world. You don't do that. That's not logical. You're just defending yourself. And direct defense, that's what I call it. But now if you actually plan, sit down and think that what you should do is go out and kill someone, that's anyone, that this is your plan, that you are not pleased with what someone is doing, with what someone is, you perceive that someone should disappear from this earth, that someone that you have some type of grievance with, racism or whatever it is, and you actually sit down and think it out and say, you know what, I think that what I'm going to do, I'm going to find this person or these persons, and I'm going to kill them. Well, anybody who does that for any reason and goes and seeks someone out with the intent of killing these people should kill themselves. As victims of racism, as victims of violence, the non-white people of this planet should be the pioneers. Now, starting, this is just any time, it should have started a long time ago because it never should have been any different. Starting with this moment, anybody who has that idea of picking up some type of arm or some type of knife or gun and going and killing anybody and seeking them out to do so should have the idea along with that, I'm going to kill myself after I do it, because I'm not going to leave that burden on someone else, and I'm definitely not going to make it look like somebody else did it. Black people should be pioneers in that type of thinking. Mm-hmm. Stand by your work. That's what it's called in the code book. If you kill somebody, you stand by your work. You stand up and tell the whole world, I did it. And if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it again. And you tell every court that. I mean, this thing of killing someone and running and hiding and peeping around the corner and seeing who's chasing you and all like that, that should stop. And no one should shield a person like that. No, stand by your work. You're going to take somebody out of this world, take yourself out.
All right.
And don't even leave it for somebody else to do, making a mess of things.
Okay, 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you call to get in contact with the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, or you can email me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com, and I will try to get to your message. Let's see here. Let's go to line number 3. Number 3, you are on with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. What is your question?
Hey, how's it going today, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller? I'm trying to be as quick as possible so I can get a response. Essentially, my question is in regards to the refinement stage. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys caught the news, but just yesterday, a popular company is promoting to have a conversation with employees and the customers about race. This particular company is very big, and my question is, in regards to the refinement stage, is this a trick or a deception move by this company, or are they really trying to promote justice? If you need a little bit more information about that company and exactly what they're doing, I can give that, but that's kind of my question.
Oh, I don't know what the intent is. I'll just accept it for what I hear that it is, and that is to try to solve the race problem. If you're talking about a race problem, it is, you focus on the word problem. Race is a problem. Racism is a problem. It never should have existed in the first place. So if talking about it will help solve it, I'm talking about it. And so therefore, I couldn't be against anybody who is going to talk about solving the race problem. So that's what we talk about. In fact, that should be the number one business of everybody on the planet. How do we solve the race problem? Why? For a very logical reason. Because you can't solve any other major problem on this planet among people without solving the race problem. I don't care how you go at it, what problem you're trying to solve, you're going to run smack into the race problem trying to solve it. And that's the conclusion I came to a long time ago. That's why I wrote that you can't solve any major problem on this planet among people in any area of activity. Economic problems, labor problems, political problems, religious problems. You're not going to solve a single one of them. Sex problems, without solving the race problem. That should be the first order of business.
Yeah, I think that word would be until that problem is solved. Okay, thank you so much, caller, for your call. We appreciate that. Got a quick message from Brother Daryl Weston. He says this, Mr. Fuller. He says, just want to let Mr. Fuller know that his message is out here like never before. I hear people on TV now quoting him. I'm on Facebook and people are quoting him all of the time. So it gives me hope that we may be able to solve this issue. Only question I got, though, is he going to be part of Hidden Colors because the title of the movie is The Religion of White Supremacy. And I know that's a term he invented. And that's all he have. Peace to both. Daryl Watson.
Well, I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
I'm not connected with that. So, but whomever is doing it, I don't know what they're saying or how they're saying it or how they're connecting me with it or not connecting me with it. But I have been saying for years that the system of white supremacy is the strongest and most powerful political and religious system ever thought up. No religion, regardless of what title it is more powerful than the religion of white supremacy on this planet at this particular time, and as long as the system of white supremacy has been in operation. What is a religion? Religion is a strong belief backed up by action. The white supremacists are the only people who have a religion that they back it up all the way by action. They practice their religion 24/7, and they do not skip a minute. It's been my experience that a lot of people say, well, I usually give this example because the person actually said this to me many years ago. He said, well, I'm a Catholic, but I don't practice it. Well, that's like saying you're an airplane pilot, but you don't pilot airplanes. See, you either practice your religion or you don't. There's no such thing as having a religion that you don't practice. And the white supremacists are the only people that I have encountered on this planet, on the time that I have been here, who practiced every part of their religion 24 hours a day without letting up, not for 1 second. Many people will, say, well, there's some, every now and then I kind of backslide or something. The white supremacists are the only people that don't backslide. They do not, ever.
Wow. All righty. 1-877-932-9766 is the number. You can call to get in contact with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., or you can email me or Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com, and I will try to get your message on as soon as I can. Let's go to the phone lines, and line number 1. What is your question for Mr. Neely Fuller Jr.?
Hello?
Yes, you are on.
Mr. Fuller, how do we know what battles to fight in the system of white supremacy?
Why? How do I know what now?
What battles to fight in the system of white supremacy?
Oh, the system of white supremacy, you're in a war all the time. So if you are doing anything or saying anything to help to replace the system of white supremacy with justice, if you're just helping anybody do anything constructive, that's your battle right then. You are a problem solver because you're helping to do things that are constructive and not non-constructive. The white supremacists are always seeking out ways to have non-white people always in a non-constructive mode, killing each other, carjacking, trying to scheme how to get over on somebody, trying to do somebody some harm, saying something derogatory about people, going around gossiping and whatnot, always just trying to figure out a way to make somebody feel terrible about something. They try to keep black people in that mode. So anytime you're doing anything to counteract that, you are battling the goal of the white supremacists because they intend to keep making the existence of black people three basic things: tacky, trashy, and terroristic.
Wow. All righty. Do you have another question before we go, caller?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. We got a letter from a fundraiser for Craig in Detroit, Michigan. He says, please ask Mr. Fuller the following question. In your opinion, Mr. Fuller, do you think integration has confused black and non-white people more? Why or why not? And what do you find most frustrating about doing this work? You've been preaching and teaching non-white people for years, and it seems like we are not getting it. I appreciate your work, and thank you. I'm working on being less confused and more codified. Craig in Detroit.
The word integration, well, these were terms that apparently, I don't know who came up with them, but apparently the white supremacists came up with both the terms racial segregation and racial integration without giving them any definitions or how to quantify when you have it and when you don't have it, when you have racial segregation and when you don't have racial integration. They didn't give it any definitions that you can quantify. What do I mean by quantify? That you can measure. So they just said, well, we're trying to get rid of segregation, or we should, and we should integrate. Okay, how are you going to integrate racism? You don't integrate racism. You eliminate racism. And what do you mean by eliminating racism? Give things definitions. You eliminate racism when you don't have anybody dominating and mistreating people based on color. So it doesn't have anything to do with how close you stand to someone. I started thinking about that back in the 1950s when I first heard the terms racial integration. Does anybody know where these terms came from originally? I mean, the first person that used the term racial integration, does anybody know that person's name? These are the kind of questions to ask when you start hearing terms that come out of nowhere. Because usually the white supremacists are the usual suspects when you hear any terms that have to do with race. You hear a term that you never heard before. I don't think most people think about that. I wasn't thinking about it until I did think about it. And that was many years after I'd been hearing it, racial integration. So I started asking questions, which is what you do to solve any problem. How do you know when you are a racially integrated Negro? This is the questions that I asked back in the 1950s. How do you really know when you wake up in the morning and say, oh, last night I finally, it's official, I am now a racially integrated Negro? Well, what does that mean? Do you become racially integrated when you are 3 feet away from a white person rather than 4 feet away? You say, well, I'm 4 feet away, so I'm not integrated yet. So I'm going to move just a little closer to this white person standing on a bus stop, and bingo, now I'm 3 feet away I'm now a racially integrated black person. Everything is all right from here on in because I'm just 3 feet away. I mean, how do you know? What do you measure it by? Do you say, well, I walked into this building now where there are some white people in this building, even though it's a plantation house?
Yeah.
You know, am I integrated now?
All righty. TalkTainmentRadio.com. Check us out on WCRS FM 98.3. Wednesday and Sunday evenings, blogs and podcasts are available. Download TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or tablet. We go where you go. Radio the way it should be heard. Coming up next, more of your questions and more callers. Oh, yeah, we're going to do that. All that and much, much more on the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
TalkTainmentRadio.com is the premier internet radio platform offering 40-plus talk radio-style programs professionally produced, optimized for online distribution, featuring Columbus, Ohio on-air personalities. TalkTainmentRadio.com offers listeners diverse programming options covering topics such as arts and culture, love, life and relationships, technology, religion, paranormal activities, local and national politics, women's issues, alongside health and wellness. Listeners can access their favorite TalkTainmentRadio.com programs free of cost through the website. Download the TTR app to your cell phone and you can take us wherever you go. We have programs on demand to fit your schedule through our podcast. The address is TalkTainmentRadio.com.
Do you own property? Are you considering a seller financing option? Do you know the latest laws and regulations impacting seller financing? The National Real Estate Investors Association is working on these issues and has information available for those considering this option at nationalreia.com. That's www.nationalreia.com.
Coming soon to your neighborhood.
Tuesday, 6 to 7 p.m., The Neighborhood Speaks. This is your host, Barbara Clark.
And this is Jennifer S. Houston. Some of the issues we will be discussing are healthcare, poverty, relationships, education, drug addiction, finances, infant mortality, and anything else that's important to our community.
This is your show. This is your opportunity. I want to hear from you. Speak out, neighborhood.
Hello, Miss Clark.
Coming soon to your neighborhood. The Neighborhood Speaks.
We can give you a new heart.
We can help you walk again.
We can perform brain surgery.
We can treat a sore throat.
We can bring life into the world.
We can work so many miracles. But the one thing we cannot do is read your mind.
When you communicate with your doctor,
when you ask us more questions,
you reduce your risk of suffering a medical mistake.
Tens of thousands of lives are lost every year due to medical mistakes.
The healthcare community is working on it, but you can help.
Please, open up. Ask more questions.
What are the side effects?
When should I expect my test results?
Will this medication interact with my other prescriptions?
We can't answer if you don't ask.
Help reduce your risk.
Questions are the answer.
Learn the 10 questions you must ask. Visit www.ahrq.gov. This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, and the Ad Council.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him opening his own clothing store at the age of 18? 1 in 138,000. Excited to be a part of pop culture, he packed for the big city. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
Brought to you by Autism Speaks, the Ad Council, and TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
Goodwill is a global social services enterprise and the leading nonprofit provider of job training programs and career services in the United States and Canada. To pay for its program, Goodwill sells donated clothes and other household items in more than 2,700 stores and online at shopgoodwill.com. Goodwill uses the revenue earned from these sales to fund job training, employment placement services, and other community programs. The goal of the campaign is to increase goods donations to Goodwill, inspire an emotional connection to the Goodwill brand, and to elevate preference for Goodwill.
Supporting minority education. I'm Sean Booker, dammit, from the Melting Pot. I'm here to tell you that as the mother of a high school senior, I know due to financial circumstances, many of America's deserving minority students do not have access to a college education. Since 1944, the United Negro College Fund has sought to provide one. Since 1972, the beginning of this campaign, UNCF has helped more than 300,000 talented students earn a college degree. I'm Sean Booker, dammit. Give a helping hand.
The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller is considered as one of the substantial and basic books for understanding and effectively countering racism. Neely Fuller will turn upside down everything you've heard and everything you think you know about racism and how it works. Call area code 202-484-5461. 202-484-5461.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
Alrighty, welcome back to TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio, heard all around the world and across this nation, the greatest station in the nation, Talktainment Radio. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is the compensatory concept with Neely Fuller Jr., and of course I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and we're discussing racism this morning, which is white supremacy. And I'd like to say this before we go on with our questions and comments. Now, I've heard this. In fact, I've read this in a little book once. It says if you want to keep something from a black person, all you have to do is put it between the pages of a book. Now, the Bible says that my people, in Hosea chapter 4, my people perish for lack of knowledge. And I bring that up because if you're really serious to want to know what racism is and really how it works, remember what it is and how it works, then you need to purchase a copy of the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a textbook workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism, which is white supremacy. You need to get that. You need to understand that. Go over and over and over. Now, if you really want to put your money where your mouth is because you say you want to understand that, then purchase the book. And you can get the book, as Mr. Fuller has stated many times, from ProduceJustice.com. ProduceJustice.com. That's where you can buy the book. It doesn't cost that much money to buy this book. Get it and begin to read it and begin to ask questions and break down to inform yourself so that you will know, instead of speaking from an uninformed opinion, which you can have, but it's just uninformed. But you need to get this. And when you get on the screen, it'll tell you everything that you need to know. It'll ask you questions, even, your email address and so forth. And they will send the book to you and even allow you to track where your book is. And, that way you will know when it's coming. That's if you're serious. Now, if you're not serious, if you want to play games, if you want to hear yourself on the radio, that's, we really don't have, Mr. Fuller doesn't have time for that, and really neither do I, because you're doing yourself a disservice. But if you consider yourself a victim of racism, which is white supremacy, then you need to get this book, The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a textbook workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism, white supremacy. ProduceJustice.com. You can get it. Before we go to the phone lines, a question was asked for Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller, in your opinion, What does the messages from the march on in Selma, the Million Man March, etc., send to racist white supremacists, and are they constructive? And also, do you believe in God, and what is your concept of God and religion?
Okay, the marches, any march that, or anything, whether it's a march or whether it's a conversation on a street corner or in a library or wherever it might be, anywhere on the planet, about ending racism and this is very important, replacing racism with something better, and something better than racism would be, logically speaking, a thing called justice that has never appeared anywhere on this planet. There's no record of justice ever having existed if you use the compensatory definition for justice, which means guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help.
Yes.
This should be the goal, not just ending racism. And then when you end something, that means you got to replace it with something. That's just a law of physics. You know, when you empty something, I mean, you know, something else is going to come into that emptiness, even if it's no more than air.
Air, right.
So, therefore, you replace a system of government called racism with a better system of government, presumably, and that better system, if it's going to be better, would be a system of justice, which means guaranteeing that no person is mistreated. You got to guarantee that. And you got to guarantee that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help.
Okay.
Now, that's a big order.
Yes.
Now, that second question was what now?
It says, do you believe in God, and what is your concept of God and religion, quickly?
Oh, I believe that there is a creator.
Yes.
Some people call it God. Some people call it the Great Spirit. Some people call it Allah. It's called by a different name. It, he, she, whatever. Some people call it the Big Bang. I believe that there is a creator of all of the things that I'm looking at, including me. I don't know anything about myself to speak of, other than I don't know anything about myself to speak of. And that is when I look at my fingernails, when I look at my fingers, when I think about all of the wiring that goes into what I call, or what I've been told is my body, when I think of my brain, I don't recall having done any of that, which means something did it. Now, by whatever name you want to call it, that is the way that I look at it.
Okay.
I'm here. I see flowers. I see birds. I don't know anything about where all of this came from. It came from somewhere. It originated somewhere because I'm looking at it. That's logical for me to think that, well, this is here. I'm here. And I wasn't always here. I don't know how I got here. Somebody told me that. I don't remember anything about how I got here. But somebody had to tell me that you are here, and I'll tell you how you got here. Well, since I know that I'm here, and I don't know how I got here, it means there's an origin, an origin of all of this. So I, logically speaking, that's pure logic, I come to the conclusion, since I didn't do it, something else did it, and I haven't run into any person that says, I did it all.
Yes, okay.
I haven't run into a person who said they did it all and it had any credibility with me, because I didn't see any evidence that they did it, that did it all. See what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So, yes, I do believe in that force that we call God, Allah, the Great Spirit, the Great One, the Big Bang, whatever you wanted. It wasn't me.
Okay. All righty. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. You're on the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr., line number 1. Go ahead with your call. Line number 1?
You speaking to me?
Yes, I am.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good morning to you and Mr. Fuller.
Good morning.
Mr. Fuller, I feel that Mao Zedong came the closest to having a fair and just system. I don't know how much you know about him or read me, the capitalist system in itself is evil and mean the masses no good, because you're never going to have enough jobs for all these people. And it is not designed for all these people to have a job and earn a decent living. So to me, it seems that the system of capitalism has to be replaced first with socialism. And I wanted to know what you thought about that.
All right. Thank you for your call. Go ahead, Mr. Fuller.
I have heard, I addressed this in the Word Guide, and I also address it in the basic book. Capitalism, communism, socialism. I really don't know what these words mean. Is a baby a capitalist? A baby who is rolling around in the crib and wanting something? In fact, we come into definitions. Here again, that's why I say definitions are very important. What is the definition of capitalism? What is the definition of communism? What is the definition of socialism? What is the definition of any ism? So words have to be defined in a way that the person who is listening to the words being defined by whomever is doing the speaking. And all down through my little bit of history, I mean, the time that I've been on the planet, I have heard people discuss capitalism. I've heard them discuss socialism. I've heard them discuss all forms, many forms of isms. And after the discussions, I usually come away scratching my head. And that is a danger sign. You shouldn't ever come away from a discussion scratching your head and wondering about what was said. But I've always done that. And at one time, I even was assigned to talk about communism. And I got a commendation for it when I was once in uniform in the military back in 1952. And for several months, I talk about Yugoslavian communism. And I got a commendation for making an excellent presentation every time. And to this day, I have no idea of what I was talking about.
Okay. Thank you for your call. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Okay. Let's go to the line. Caller, you're on the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, line number 2. Go ahead with your question.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Yes. When you talk about what white supremacy is, I feel like you have black people who are assisting in holding black people down, and instead of directly doing stuff to the white supremacists directly doing stuff to black people, the black people are directly doing things. Now, and these people are organized into groups, and some of these groups are called, fraternities, and also called the Boule. And I want to know, I find myself in a quandary or a dilemma with a non-white black person, and it's to the point where I have to sue them, and I need some assistance in planning just how to go about suing them. And I understand that we have had your book for more than 15 years. When you're out here in Los Angeles, I got a chance to talk with you too. And I just wanted to get, I think I need to talk with you further offline, because I need to put together a strategy on how do I correctly, within the most qualified way, go up ahead suing this person.
Okay. Mr. Fuller, you understand that?
I'm not, my reception is kind of distorted here. Can I get the gist of what her question was?
Yes, something about some legal action against, unfortunately, she said, against someone, and using your codified system. How does she approach that? And I guess she would like to speak with you offline, but online, or rather on the radio program, how would she approach that system? Approach that person in this matter legally?
It's a non-white black person.
Yeah, non-white black person.
a non-white black person. Well, a black person would be non-white.
Okay.
But it depends on what the legal matter is. I didn't get the gist of what she was saying, what the question was. What is the problem specifically?
The problem is this person, they're basically, they are, it's kind of hard to say it, but you're not really hearing me anyway.
Well.
But basically what's going on is the person has been playing games with me, and their little game that they wanted to play has spilled over into my work. And what happened is, so I'm having a hard time. I'm having trouble with people at work because of the games that this guy has been playing with me, unfortunately, in the church.
Well, see, one thing, you might start off for whatever it is, because what you're saying to me is a little vague, and that's one thing you don't want to be, is vague. When you start talking about legal action against anyone, I usually avoid accusing anybody of doing anything. I've had jobs and whatnot. One thing I steered clear of, and that is making an accusation. When you make an accusation, you really have to be specific about what you're talking about, or you should be. You should really know. You shouldn't have any guesswork in there anywhere. You should be very clear to whomever you are talking to about someone doing something that they shouldn't do. That's the first thing. You have to be very specific about this person is doing something that shouldn't be done ever to anybody, anywhere. And these are the things. You should be able to list the things that are being done. You shouldn't be vague at all, saying the person is playing games. That's too vague. So you stay away from making accusations. What you do is list the things that are being done that you don't think should be done because it's non-just, because it's incorrect, because you're being mistreated, and be able to say, 1, 2, the person is doing this, number 1, and doing this, number 2, or that somebody is doing these things. Or you can use a hypothetical. You can just say, what if someone is doing these things in this facility?
Mm-hmm.
And what should be done about it if that person is doing these things? That would be the approach that I would use. Put everything in the form of a question. Don't accuse anybody specifically of doing anything. Call for an investigation of whomever is doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and say, now, if these things are going on in this facility, I would like these things investigated because I think they are going on. Let somebody else find out who's doing it.
Mr. Fuller, not in defense of the sister, but a previous session that we had, somebody referenced the 5th and the 14th Amendment. In regards to what this sister has just brought up, would that be any of assistance to her, the 5th and the 14th Amendment?
Sure, but see, a lot of places, that's why I usually speak of the 5th and 14th Amendment within the Northwestern Hemisphere.
Okay.
Because when we're talking about talktainment radio, we're talking about going worldwide.
Yes.
There's a lot of people throughout the world who never heard of any 5th or 14th Amendment, and they don't have it anyway. They don't have that kind of structure. So that would only apply to the Northwestern Hemisphere.
Okay.
Where they have a constitution called the Constitution of the United States.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So the 5th and 14th Amendments are the two most important amendments, I say, when there is some mistreatment of a person.
Okay. My sister, if I don't know if Mr. Fuller will talk to you off air, but I'll tell you what you can do. You can call here at the program director, Ed Dozier, and see what can be done about that. And I hope that maybe you can get that problem that you're having solved. All right? Okay, she's gone. Okay, line number 3. Go ahead. You're on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. on the compensatory concept, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. for taking my call. Could Dr. Fuller elaborate on the King James Bible as far as the celebration of our white supremacy holidays, as far as Christmas, Easter, and Thanksgiving? Even with my churches, they have the Christmas tree all decked out inside the church. On Easter, they have the Easter bunny with the frills and thrills of Easter eggs all lined up in the hallway. And then on Thanksgiving, they even have pictures of the white pilgrims with their with the Indians, and even portray and have celebrations and have plays about it as far as Christmas, Easter, and Thanksgiving. And to me, my opinion, it's kind of hypocritical, because for what I've read in the Bible, which I've been doing a lot of research, whereas there's nothing in there about Easter and celebration of Easter and Christmas. And to me, I think that the churches are telling a lie, and it's just so deceptive.
Okay.
Have a blessed day, and thank you.
All right, thank you for your call. Mr. Fuller?
Well, the only religion that I am allowed, according to what I've written, to criticize is the religion of white supremacy. So the white supremacists have positioned themselves so that they involve themselves in any religion that has to do with non-white people. So what you aim at is whatever is going on in a religion that helps to support white supremacy, you just simply ask questions about the people who are doing it, and ask questions to people in any religious denomination, regardless of what the religion is. Say, now, is this religion against racism, or is it for racism? Whatever the religion is, just start by asking questions. Don't make accusations, because people have a tendency to try to resist you when naturally, if you're accusing them of doing something that shouldn't be done, just ask questions about what is being done. And say, what is this for? Why are you doing this? Is this constructive? Does this help to solve a problem? And if it does help to solve a problem, what problem does it help to solve? See, all problems are solved through the process of questions and answers.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay. See, from the Gmail, from Charisse Dorsey, she asked this. She said, Mr. Fuller, will the book be available after you pass away?
Oh, I would hope so. Yes, I've tried to make provisions for that so that it would definitely be in the way that people, inheritances and that type of thing, and to see to it that it would be. So I don't think it would disappear, except if the white supremacists decide, well, we're not going to allow books like Mr. Fuller's to be in circulation, and in some places it's not allowed, and so I have been told. But if it is allowed, because they allow me to go this far with it, and I do anticipate, though, if people start reading the book and start acting on the things that are in the book and saying things according to what the book says that people should say, I expect opposition from the white supremacists. And I expect a lot of distortions, because I think they have already started that.
Yes. Yeah. That, and funny you mentioned that. That's why I'm glad when you spoke to the question about where we can get the book, why the book is set up the way that it is, the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a textbook for workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism, which is white supremacy. When you go to the website, which is producejustice.com, I'll tell you something. I'm really impressed at the security and the steps that have been taken to make sure that people get that book, Mr. Fuller. I'm really happy about that. You care to comment on that quickly?
Well, I just don't want the message to be distorted.
Yes.
Because the white supremacists will always look at anything that might be of danger to the system of white supremacy and try to distort it by causing confusion.
Yes.
Once you have confusion out there, that's what you got. And you can't solve any problem when you have confusion.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the caller. And again, thank you, Mr. Fuller. TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio the way it should be heard. We'll see you next week on the greatest station in the nation, TalkTainmentRadio.com.
Thanks for listening to The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters is why. One should always ask it.
Radio, the way it should be heard.
You've got the power, the world's greatest radio, TalkTainmentRadio.com.